Call to order the Siloam Springs Board of Directors meeting for August 5th, 2025. Roll call.
Blair.
Yes, here.
Burns.
Here.
Wiles.
Here.
Hunt.
Here.
Rissler.
Here.
Allen.
Here.
Carroll.
Here.
At this time, if you will please stand with me as Director Carroll leads us in prayer, and please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray. Father God, in all we say, in all we do, bring glory to you. In Jesus.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. At this time, I would like to ask that anyone has, if you have an electronic device, that you please silence that, turn it off, something, so that we're not interrupted during our meeting. And thank you very much for doing that. Next is our public input time. I would ask if there is anyone in the audience that would like to address the board on an item that is not already on our regular agenda. There is not. Is there anyone that would like to address the board on an item that is on our consent agenda? There is not. We will move on to our consent agenda. Item A, regular meeting minutes, July 15th, 2025. Special called meeting minutes, July 9th, 2025. Item C, Resolution 31-25, setting hearing date for easement vacation of 1113 East Ashley Street. Directors, is there anything on the consent agenda that you would like to have removed for separate consideration? There is not. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Burns.
Yes.
Wiles.
Yes.
Hunt.
Yes.
Rissler.
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Carroll.
Yes.
Blair.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Thank you. Next, we'll move to our regularly scheduled items, beginning with contracts and approvals. Grant acceptance, community services, sanitation, multifamily recycle, $66,475. And Jason, you have the floor.
Yes, ma'am. Jason Davis, Community Services Director. This is a grant that I applied for sometime last year. They contacted us and gave us acceptance for the grant. It's a $66,475 grant. This grant will cover 4 multifamily style dumpsters that we can put at the apartments that'll be compartmentalized so people can actually recycle at the multifamily apartments. So asking for approval so we can get started on our project.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
Directors, any comments or questions for Jason? There is not. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address this grant acceptance? There being none, directors, do I have a motion to approve the grant acceptance for $66,475?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Roll call.
Wiles.
Yes.
Hunt.
Yes.
Rissler.
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Carroll.
Yes.
Blair.
Yes.
Burns.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Thank you, Jason. Next is the grant acceptance, GRDA for Parks and Recreation, $25,000, softball field lighting, budget amendment of $30,000. Travis?
Good evening, Mayor, Board, Travis Cheney, Parks and Recreation Manager. You have before you for consideration a grant from GRDA for the Lazy Boy softball fields. As many of y'all know, we have some aging facilities out there, and our lights were installed well over 30 years ago. And I will say Glenn Severn with the electric department has worked tirelessly to try to secure this grant. But the electric department's having a lot of trouble every year, increasing amount of trouble getting the replacement lamps that the ball field lights need when they burn out, and trying to get them up and running. And before too long, they're going to be not serviceable, and it's going to be impossible to find the lights that are currently out there, and at which point we will need to replace all the lights. But GRDA, with the help of the electric department, have offered a $25,000 grant this year to just fix our worst problem, which is on the 2 adult softball fields. Those are the fields that get the most nighttime use. We have a pretty robust men's softball league, a pretty robust co-ed softball league, and a lot of Marshallese community softball tournaments out there. During the May 2025 storm, one of those poles broke off, fell down, was destroyed. And if we accept this grant, we will be able to at least fix the lighting on the 2 adult fields. The electric department has agreed to supply the poles, supply all the manpower for installation. GRDA will supply $25,000. You may see in your packet the overall cost is $54,000. So we would need to amend the park's capital budget by $30,000 to reflect the additional expense. But it is significantly cheaper than a turnkey solution, which would be about $150,000 for those fields, just the 2 adult softball fields. And I'm ready to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Travis. Directors, any comments or questions?
Madam Mayor,
Mindy?
I do just have a quick question. Does the city run the softball, the adult softball leagues, or?
In the men's softball league and the adult co-ed softball league, the city does run. And then Boys and Girls Club administers the
children's.
recreational kids leagues.
Okay.
Anyone else? Is there anyone in the audience that would like to make a comment on this grant acceptance? There is not. Directors, do I have a motion to approve the grant acceptance from GRDA for $25,000?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Hunt,
Yes.
Rissler,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Wiles.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Thank you, Travis. Next, we'll move to our ordinances. Ordinance 25-22. This will be the second reading, amending Section 102-21 of the City Municipal Code, rezoning from PD to I-2, the 500 block of North Progress Avenue. Megan?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Megan Thomas, current planner. This is the second reading for a rezoning request located at the 500 block of North Progress Avenue. As a reminder, this ordinance was amended at the last board meeting in order to revise the request for 11.1 acres to be rezoned from PD plan development to I-2 light industrial instead. There have been no changes or additional comments received since the previous reading, and staff's available for any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Megan. Directors, comments or questions? There being none.
Madam Mayor,
I'm sorry, yes, David?
this is the second reading, correct?
Yes, sir, this is the
We
second
did
reading.
the first one at the last.
Yes, sir, we
meeting.
did.
I just want to acknowledge that we've had over 25 emails to this board against this rezone. And how many have we received in support of it? One, just one. All of this property was originally zoned PD, plan development, for a reason. It was part of the comprehensive plan 2040 that involved many public meetings, many citizens' input, and the future land use map does not have any industrial in this area. I don't believe it's correct or fair to put industrial in the middle of the future growth for retail and residential in our city. And I say, what comes next? Will this company come back in 5 years and want to expand, and they want to change the C2 that they are changing from PD to C2 to another industrial to expand in that direction? What do we say if they come back and want to expand by buying the land to the east and say they're only going to do it if they get free electricity and water for 10 years? Those kind of deals are made through the help of the Chamber of Commerce. And the chamber was not involved in this. What we've heard, each board member has heard in private meetings with the company representative, as well as at the podium here in our meetings, is the expectation of wages for a certain number of jobs. 30,000 is what I was told. That comes out to $14 a year. $14 an hour. So my argument with this is that everything we've heard, it's just words. It's not in a contract. Back in the day, in the 80s and 90s, the Chamber of Commerce got involved with the city for a new industry, and contracts were written that said, you must provide this and this and this before. Now, the last time we had a new industry was a very, very long time ago. We've had industry move. Lazy Boy moved in the early 2000s or mid 2000s, and Web Wheel built a new plant. But in terms of new industry, there's not been a real pattern that anyone has been able to go by to say, that's what we need. And so the way this has been handled is not the way it used to be, where there was some guarantees to the citizens. As it is now, it's just words. And it's words from someone who doesn't actually even work for the company. They're a consultant for the company. So things can be said that, because they're not in a contract, don't really have to be held up. The amount of semi-trucks that will be added to the traffic that already is having backed up at intersection of 412 in Progress as it is, we've had many, many complaints to the city from that intersection. And we can be told that, well, we're going to make sure all the trucks go down to Progress and Cheri, Whitlock. There's no guarantee that anything is going to be done based upon what we're told in these meetings. So I have a problem with putting industry where other industry is not already zoned and built. And that's where I have a problem. So thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, David. Directors, anyone else?
Madam Mayor.
So Brad, and then I'll
Nope.
come to you, Mindy. Brad?
Oh. Well, I've stood back, and I made a rush trip back. All of us attended the Unified Development Code. Some of us did with a joint group with the PC, and I sat there during that meeting, and as an at-large, I just had to look back at the bigger picture, and it's zoning. And Director Hunt had brought up the comprehensive plan, and I was on the board when we adopted that, and so I started digging in the comprehensive plan because I just really want to be focused on city business. So underneath that, I just encourage us to land use on page 21 has some good notes. If you'll bear with me, I'm going to rattle a couple off. Non-residential land uses, page 24. The city should consider the redevelopment of key corridors currently undeveloped or reaching market obsolescence. Future land use map, page 26. This land use plan will serve as a guide during discussion and the discussion-making process regarding development, land use, and growth. It will not be the end point of discussion, but rather an additional element considered along with more site, area, person, and business-specific issues. Industrial, page 39, development priorities. There's 3 bullet points in there. I'll spare you, but I will go to the last one. Industrial areas should be buffered from any adjacent residential uses through separating by a roadway or a transitional use, office, or substantial screening efforts. Land use goals and strategies, page 43, has some other reflections. If you go down to the guiding principles, you'll see small town feel, family oriented, safety and healthy, vibrant town, business-friendly, connected community, fiscal responsible, and a natural environment. And I took all that in. I looked at the sustainability model that these folks use. You can look on their website. It's pretty straightforward. It reminded me of Portlandia when you go to eat a chicken and you find out where the chicken come from, and then you go to the farm, and if you get it, you get it. I see a few smiles. So these chickens have like, 108 square feet per hen. They're 400 an acre, and they're rotated pastures. So they use exactly what we're recommending cattle farmers to use when it comes to rotational grazing for sustainability. And it is some sustainability. And then I looked at our old flag, which was, we were the city of beauty and progress. And that is in my decision-making process of what is occurring out there and the additional rezoning that is going to come to us tonight and throughout the rest of the year, because the whole area is rezoning. It's part of the pains of growth and development. And those were my considering factors in my decision process. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. Mindy?
Yes, we have received several emails, and there are concerns. I tried to respond to any emails that came before today. I didn't have a chance to respond today, but I was able to see sort of a theme of questions, and I even came up with a document that I could just sort of copy and paste into emails because they were addressing the same sort of concerns. And I do feel like a lot of the concerns have been addressed. I know when this idea was first presented to me, I didn't take into consideration all the concerns that there might be with I-1, and I was glad that people brought those up and we were able to take that into consideration. And then when we did sort of push back on that, the company came back and said, well, really I-2, I think is what we need. Staff, I feel like, has supported that. I-2, I feel like that addresses a lot of the concerns about what happens in the future if this company doesn't stay around. So yes, concerns, but in relation to what we've been told, I feel like from the very beginning, Don Stoner with the company has made himself available to us, and so I've been corresponding with him directly as opposed to their representative, because I do feel like I need to go straight to that person. He's been very responsive to my questions, and since one question did come up that there seems to be a discrepancy on, I'd like to know from Mr. Stoner, what is the average pay? I was told a little bit more than $14 an hour, but yeah. Can he come up and tell us?
Yeah, Don Stoner with Knoxville, Tennessee. Again, and so I do want to correct a few things that were
Well, and
said today
okay,
and yesterday.
I may have
Our average
misspoken.
wage-
I may have
Yeah.
misspoken. We may have to wait for you to answer the questions
If you
until
can
you have.
just, if you could just answer her question,
Yes,
which
the
is,
average wage is well above that. We're a certified B Corp.
I'm sorry, come to the mic.
We are a certified B Corp, which is out there and readily available for anybody that cares to go look and see. But that means we're audited every year on how we treat our employees, our customers, our vendors, and the communities that we work with, our growers and our farmers. We are, in every place we go, we want to be the preferred employer. Our benefits package, we pay 80+% of healthcare. I don't know what the going rate of a typical processing job here would be, but we would typically be $2 to $3 above that. That's where we are in Morristown, Tennessee. Our average wage there is well over $20. I would assume, I haven't done the wage studies here to know, but we would be above the average here for similar jobs. We also provide, which is unheard of in a process, a food plant particularly, they tend to be tough places to work. We provide 13 days of PTO, 12 or 13 on their first year. We also have 11 paid company holidays. So somebody would have up to 5 weeks off their first year in a food processing facility. That's unheard of. You compare it to any of the other places around here. We will be the preferred employer. That'll be the biggest problem. You're gonna get complaints from the other employers around here that they're stealing all our employees. So the second, I would like to correct, I do get a W-2 from Hanson Brook, so I do work for them.
You're supposed to only address the question that she had, and the public comments will come later. I think they already said that.
Yes, thank you. I didn't mean to put you on the spot there, but I was curious about that since that did come up. So, I mean, it is tough. There's a lot of things to consider. As I said, I feel like I-2 addresses a lot of the initial concerns. I think all of us up here do take our job seriously. We do have concerns. We do want to listen to you. It's another one of those things where we're not going to make you all happy. We just absolutely can't. But we're going to do the best to make the decision that we feel is best for the community. And we may each feel differently about what we feel is best for the community. But that doesn't mean that we don't care, that we've not done our research, that we're not really looking into what's going on. If I've driven by that area where you all are wanting to build once, I've driven by it 20 times in the last 2 or 3 weeks, just to kind of get a feel for what is this going to look like. I mean, I would love for as many trees to stay there as possible, and if they do, as much as you can hide a big facility, I think it's going to be relatively hidden with all the trees back in there. I can't guarantee that, but I've driven the neighborhoods of Ravenwood just to kind of see what might it can you see from the streets that would be closest. Little bits and pieces that you might be able to see. We already talked about going over the similar plant. Odor was a big concern. There wasn't an odor until you get right inside the plant. But the general public is going to be most concerned with odor outside of the plant. They're not going to find that if this facility really is similar to the one that we saw. Yeah, there's going to be more traffic. Semis or box trucks? Semis? Okay, semis, more semis, that's a concern. One question that did get raised today, and this would be a question for our fire chief, is that going to make it more difficult for ambulances to get to the hospital? If there's a little bit more traffic there, is that going to make your time getting someone to the hospital greater? I thought that was a good question, so if you could answer that.
Yeah, Dustin Kendall, Fire Chief. Typically, no. If we're running emergency lights and sirens, traffic typically yields and gets out of our way for that. But I don't foresee it being much of an issue for us. It wouldn't be any more difficult running down 412 with the median on the west side of town, anyways. So.
Thank you, Dustin.
So that's kind of where I am at this point. Like I said, I feel, I'm sorry if I didn't respond to anybody today, but if you had a lot of questions and you emailed before today, I did try to address your concerns as best I can. I don't ever make a decision until the night of. We all might lean toward one way or the other, but we do want to hear everybody, and I appreciate that you have spoken, so thank you.
Thank you, Mindy. Anyone else? Directors?
Madam Mayor.
Yes, Reed.
I've received emails, texts, phone calls, conversations at the grocery store, and I have come to find that some are very passionate about this and where we're going and what we're doing. And others are, they're very passionate and also willing to let me know that if I vote a certain way that I must not have all my fries in the basket. And that's on both sides, so either way, I'm going to be a little less than a Happy Meal, I guess. But most of the concerns that I'm hearing are ones that we have addressed, and we were even encouraged to go in and visit the facility in Berryville. And wow, that was a wonderful suggestion. because it even solidified more to me the value of what can be done with this egg washing facility. And yeah, we've had words spoken, and we've had a lot of, I'm even going to say it's even kind of entered a politics with it. Some are, you can kind of tell when they send you a note that it just has the appearance that someone encouraged them to send you a note real quick versus getting specific on why or why not. But when I look at this, I look at what can be the negatives. Well, we looked at the lighting. That has been addressed. We looked at the noise. That has been addressed. The smell. What's it going to be like for the public? We've even looked at the traffic. And we looked at the aesthetics of how this is going to look from the road. Putting all those things together, I still believe this would be a good fit for us. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Reed. Anyone else?
Madam Mayor, I do need to say one more thing.
Yeah.
We have gotten a lot of letters, and as Reed said, people have spoken to us too. While more of the letters have expressed more concern and encouragement to vote no, conversations have sort of been different, at least my conversations. So there is support for this. It's not all, please don't do that. It's just that the people that are more supportive of it have not written. The people that aren't as supportive of it have. And that's, I'm glad we've heard from them, but we have had conversations too. So.
Thank you, Mindy. Anyone else?
Madam Mayor,
Yeah, Betsy.
I know I've spoken about my feelings on it, but there are also citizens who haven't been following this since the beginning, so I thought I would share. I was very much against it in the beginning, and against the I-1. I don't think that's appropriate. The I-2, because it is more like commercial 2, I was okay with. The smell, even Friday, I got a text message saying they'd had lunch with a friend who'd sat in the stands watching games in Berryville and it smelled bad, which that concerned me. So I pulled out my phone and I looked at what businesses were surrounding the eggplant, and I started calling them. I love cold calling, and explained who I was when I spoke with the cashier, when I spoke with the manager, whoever I spoke with, and they were all lovely, and they were like, no, that person's confused, that's the other side of town, that's Tyson. They said it's a great facility, it's clean, there's no smell. They offer the public to come in and do tours, and it's been an asset to the community. Every concern I've had, I've looked into. The traffic, I understand. 412 is a mess. Progress and 16 and 412 is a mess. I think it's not going to get any better until we do a bypass, and what the federal government says, that'll be 20 to 25 years. When I look at the area, and like Mindy, I have driven by there more times than I can count, and I've taken my friends and my family by there, and there is so much land on either side of Progress going north and then going east, and all that's going to be developed. If we say no to this because of traffic, are we going to say no to all of that development? It's only going to get more crazy. I don't like it. It was 6,000 population when I grew up, and we didn't have this mess, but this is how it is, and it's only going to get worse, and what to do about that, I do not know, because I know we're not going to sit and say no to the next person who wants to put something in on the other side, or to the east, or to the north, or or in front of the high school, that big piece of land in front of the high school that I guess is for sale. A business can go in there. This eggplant, that was one of the options. Thankfully, they were kind enough not to even consider that. As far as appropriate, it's I-2. The restrictions are very similar to everything else that's around there. And when I look at the map for what's around there, the burgundy, maroon color, whatever, it's called regional commercial, and it's what Walmart, and it goes, well, you can see, yeah, the dark, not the dark red, but the red, and it goes up and it goes around. That's called regional commercial, and one of the allowable uses for that is I-2. So it's not as far-fetched as it might seem to put in a light industrial in that area. I have gotten 2 emails for it and several against it, but like Mindy, I've had a lot of conversations in person. Even today, I had somebody text me, can you stop by the shop? I want to discuss something with you. And it was the eggplant. I had no idea what they were going to say, but they were for it. It's a really, really rough decision because like I've said before, I want to please everybody, but I have a lot of people who are for this, and I just can't find a reason to say no. So, thank you.
Thank you, Betsy. Anyone else? If not, is there anyone in the audience that would like to
Madam Mayor.
speak? I'm sorry, David?
We got the maps that show the commercial and the C2 versus the I2 and even the I1. There's not many I2s in the city limits. Looks like about 5 or 6. And it's a little hard to actually see what businesses are there in those specific locations. But to say that I2 is basically the same as C2 is incorrect. Light industrial is still industrial. And to simply make it say, well, we've addressed most of the concerns from the people that have sent emails. The traffic has not been addressed whatsoever. Kind of just sloughing over that. The schools being built where they were on Mount Olive, no one could have foreseen that at certain times of the day, it is dangerous. You have to look forward, what we're already addressing at the intersection of not just 412 and Progress, but Progress and Cheri Whitlock. There are many places that land can be purchased that fits the requirements. To say to this board, this is the only shovel-ready piece of land, that's incorrect. I really cannot understand how we can look at the I-1 where industry is, and when Gates or Lazy Boy and Web Wheel decided to build new plants, they worked with the city and the chamber and found where the growth for industry was headed, and they built out there after they bought the land. They didn't say, well, we're not going to buy any land unless we can get a great price for it. They worked with the city to be a good neighbor to the entire community and to force the city to change the zoning simply because this company wants this plant right here, nowhere else. It's unconscionable to me that we are violating the future land use map and the planned zoning for this area because people are saying, well, you can't turn down jobs. We're not turning down jobs. We want the jobs, but we want working together to put the plant where it should be amongst other industry. And holding this over the head saying, if you don't do this, we're not going to build here. That's not a good ultimatum to hear. I think we have the maps. We can see where everything is. And this may be able to be classified I-2. But that does not mean it is not an industry. It is a food processing facility. And I even had many people tell me that even though board members visited Berryville, you don't think Berryville knew the board members were coming? You don't think they were prepared? I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. But putting industry right where our growth of residential, retail, commercial is already, I believe other cities are laughing at us to even consider that this is going to happen.
Thank you, David. Anyone else?
Mayor,
Yes, Brad.
just, I think Director Carroll had mentioned it at the last meeting. I don't feel forced to do anything. I'm not threatened. This is just not reality. In fact, as I read through the comprehensive plan, I would say we would be leaders in Northwest Arkansas. We are different. We've always wanted to be different, it's clearly stated by this board, than the corridor. We're an industry-based town. Our bread and butter, our backbone of this town is from the working class. The reason, not all the reasons, part of the reasons these roadways were expanded back in the day, some of that was used from the hospital funds, is we took Tahlequah, Progress Avenue, Cheri, Whitlock, made them 4-lane, and like any city in Northwest Arkansas, I'm sure we wish we put another lane in them, right? But we knew growth was coming. And so, you know, keeping it in that perspective, I just don't want to be lumped into that. I'm intimidated. When I look at these folks, I just, you know, I'm sorry. And I look at a company that's gone above and beyond to work with us. We voted up, we voted down. I see opportunity. We have a lot of other heavy issues as this area develops. And Director Blair is 100% correct. It is going to develop. The land in front of the high school, the sign is gone. And I said this before, I wish the high school would have bought that and maintained that as a green space. I would have loved to have a green space in that area and for future growth for the high school, but they chose not to do that. They have a different vision plan, and it's obvious some of us board members have a different vision. So when I read the comprehensive plan, my interpretation of that is going to be somewhat different than other board members. And I have to respect that. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad.
Madam Mayor, one last thing.
David?
As I stated a moment ago, if this is a success, it'll be wonderful. But if it is success and they plan to expand by either using the C2 or by expanding by buying property east of them, how many people as a patient at our Siloam Springs Regional Hospital are going to want to look out the window and see an industrial facility operating? It just doesn't make a lot of common sense to me that we would even consider this because, as Brad has said, the comprehensive plan has rules and all of this, but that was thought of and had many, many public meetings about it as to what should go where. And in fact, Mr. Don Clark was in charge of it and led it, all the public meetings, and was very instrumental in getting it brought to fruition with the public input. So things were set as to where we expect things to go within that 2040 comprehensive plan for a reason. And now it just seems like it doesn't matter anymore. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Anyone else? If not, is there anyone in the audience that would like to address ordinance 25-22? If you are going to come to the podium, I need you to state your name, your address, and you will have 3 minutes. Is there anyone? Ma'am?
Madam Mayor, may I ask you to remind them they address you only?
Yes, please.
Rebecca Wyatt, 1109 East Jewel Street. Madam Mayor and City Board of Directors, along with the other concerns I have of rezoning our shopping and residential area and up to 14 semis a day on progress, I still have a great concern over this property being rezoned industrial of any kind. As we know, and most of the public doesn't quite understand, that industrial zoning permits age-restricted businesses in this town, such as vape shops and tattoo shops. Whereas that have to have a special permit if it stayed residential or commercial. But if it goes to industrial of any kind, they can have a vape shop, they can have a tattoo shop. And so this is a big issue and a real concern for me, right close to our high school. And I just think the other big thing that is a concern is once this is rezoned industrial, then how are you going to say no to anybody else right in that area? So we're going to be going industrial in that area more than likely. And it's just going to take over. And so that's really a concern. Because if they decide not to go through with this property also, then they can sell it and the zoning stays. And you all know that. But any public that is watching, I want them to, for the record, to hear that zoning will stay in place. And a vape shop, a tattoo shop could be built on that land or any age-restricted business because it would be rezoned industrial instead of a commercial. So I thank you for your time and consideration. And I still would like to know if this company would consider moving to another part of our town. Their company sounds like it's a really nice company, and it would be really nice if they would be a good neighbor. And I know it would cost them more money for a different piece of property, but it would be really nice. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Rebecca. Is there anyone else? If not, directors, do you have any other comments or questions?
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Lisa.
I've listened to everybody and what they've had to say, and we've received so many emails on this, and I've received a lot of communication. I've received calls, texts, all kinds of communication on this.
Lisa, can you pull your mic down a little, please? Thank you.
From leaders, from everybody in this community. I've received tons of them. And sometimes, first let me say, I appreciate that this project is being presented in our community. I appreciate any opportunity that brings jobs to our community because we do need jobs in our community. Sometimes we're asked to make a decision that it's not about the legality, and a lot of our ordinances is about the legality. You have to allow this to happen because they jump through these hoops. But sometimes it's about preference, and this is one about preference. Do we prefer, we don't have to, we're not required to, do we prefer to let industry in this area? So there's a lot to consider in that. There's an appreciation for the company for even suggesting it. I mean, you can't deny that we need to appreciate that they're even looking at our community. But there's an appreciation for the citizens that have to remain in this community and live in this community. And we say, well, and I don't feel forced. I don't feel forced to make a decision. So the decision I make tonight, there's variables to it. And one of those variables is the citizens that have been part of this community, that have been a part of the discussions on the planned growth for our community. And I care about what they have to say. And sometimes it's not about the smell. Sometimes it's not about the traffic. Sometimes it's they want us to stay with what we promoted to the community, which is planned growth. And now we're saying we want to go away from planned growth. And so I'm not mad at the company for asking. I'm not mad at the citizens for being against it or for it. Because I'm not against bringing jobs. I'm not against this project at all. But I do find myself, like Mindy was saying, this is a hard decision because we live here. We're not part of a company that's coming in and making a decision. We live here every day with the citizens. So the choices we make affect them. And sometimes we have to make a decision that we don't realize how it truly affects them until after the project's done. And so we can say it's not going to smell, and it may not, and I don't think it will. We can say it's not going to cause more traffic, and it may not. It may be just like the commercial. But none of us know the true answer until it's built. So the situation I'm in, the last time there was a vote that we do all 3 readings at the last meeting. And I will make it very clear, I've always made it very clear since I've been on this board, I will never take the voice away from the citizens, never. I don't want to be asked to do that. I shouldn't be asked to do that because it matters what the citizens have to say because this is their community. Now, as I said, I'm okay with the project. I'm okay with having more discussions. So if we do the reading tonight, if we keep it on second reading, I will vote yes to move it forward because I really believe this is a topic that the citizens are wanting to discuss. We know it's a topic they want to discuss because we're receiving the communication. Now, if we go to the 2 and 3 readings, my vote is no. And I just want to be clear where I stand. I'm not against the project, and I'm not against the citizens that are against it. I want to make sure we are enabling the citizens to have a voice in our community.
Thank you, Lisa. So with that, yes,
Madam Mayor,
Mindy.
I do have a question related to what Rebecca said. I have a vague recollection of us discussing, this may be an attorney question, that if this particular, if this were rezoned to I-2, this particular company didn't do it, that within a certain amount of time, it would automatically revert back to whatever zoning we want. Did we have that discussion?
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Chris.
there's a whereas statement that the board added to the ordinance that would notify the applicant that the board has the authority and plans to bring this back, I believe it was within 12 months after approval, if they have not broken ground on the project. So that whereas statement is more of a just to let you know for the record. It is not a clawback in an automatic stance where it's required by law to come back to this board. It is essentially just notifying the applicant in the whereas statements that this board plans to bring this back as a force rezone at a future date.
If they don't build, and so that forced rezone could take it out of the industrial at that point, and then we wouldn't have the concerns with that already being zoned for something that could allow age-restricted business.
It would essentially come back to this board in 12 months if there's not an approved development permit that has broken ground.
Okay.
It'll come back to this board as a rezone application initiated by staff.
I'm not as concerned about an age-restricted business coming into an empty warehouse the size that you all might, or an empty facility the size you all might leave if you left. I don't really see that happening, but if they did, but if they didn't build and we had the option of going back to a zoning that wouldn't allow age-restricted, I would feel good about that, so thank you.
Directors, any other questions?
Madam Mayor.
Yes, Brad.
So my deal with, I'm about second and third. We're leaving, and it's a discussion across the nation. It's a discussion in AML. It's in our town and city magazine. So, several of the emails are not appropriate. Some of your social media out there, I've taken the time to look at it. It's disgusting. It's not acceptable, that kind of language. And so we're just going to endure another 2 weeks of just providing the opportunity for individuals out there to beat elected officials up a little bit more, I guess. But luckily, I'm seasoned at it because, you know, when I ran, they tore me up, and I'm sadly humored by it. Having said that, there's just a lot of false information out there, and to hop on social media or any thread and try to correct it opens up just a whole nother can of worms, and I'm not willing to go down that road. I wish a lot of things, but I wish folks that were out there on the social media threads actually, you know, listen to the conversations that we've had. Unfortunately, they don't. And then it just continues, we're going to continue down that road. I think we've had healthy debate. I think we know where we agree and where we disagree. And that's kind of where I stand with this particular company, because I do believe that they are going to break ground. And there's developments in that neighborhood where the permits are going to expire or have expired because they were going to do something and they haven't done that. And so, you know, that's my concern. I can weather the storm. I just think it just feeds them ammunition and it gets ugly. It's not a good reflection of who we are as a city. I don't think it's a positive reflection of most of the citizens that I are in contact with or that you worship with. Or maybe some of them do that, I don't know. But it's not, I just don't think it's helpful or healthy for the community. But if that's the road we want to go down, that's the road we'll go down. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So I will tell you that we have had a request for a second and third reading tonight. So the first thing I am going to do is ask, do I have a motion to place Ordinance 25-22 on its second and third reading, suspending the rules, reading by title only?
Madam Mayor?
Roll call. Yes, David.
Is the request from a board member?
No, sir. From the
You have
applicant.
to have a request from a board member to do.
That's what
to
she's
combine
asking
reading.
for. She's asking for a motion,
That's
which
right.
is what she's supposed
But
to
I
do.
was asking because you're saying you had a request.
I've had a request, yes, sir, and now I'm referring to the board to ask you if you will vote to do that.
Okay.
So, again, I will ask, do I have a motion to place this on its second and third reading, suspending the rules, reading by title only?
So move.
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Bristler,
No.
Allen,
No.
Carroll,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Wiles,
No.
Hunt.
Yes.
Have to have a 2/3 vote. Nope. Yes, we do. So this fails by a 4-3 vote for the second and third reading. So I will come, we're not ready yet, right? Okay. So now I'm going to ask to place Ordinance 25-22 on its second reading, suspending the rules and reading by title only.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Allen,
No.
Carroll,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Wiles,
Yes.
Hunt,
Yes.
Bristler.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Christina?
Ordinance number 25-22, an ordinance amending section 102-21 of the Siloam Springs Municipal Code, city zoning map, rezoning from PD to I-2, property located at the 500 block of North Progress Avenue.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you all for being here. We will have a third reading at the next board meeting. Next is Ordinance 25-23, which goes along with Ordinance 25-22. This was tabled at our 7:15 meeting. So I will ask staff, since this is a third reading and the other ordinance was a second reading, do we need to ask for a table on this until that time?
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Chris,
I would request this item be tabled.
thank you. So, do I have a motion to table ordinance 25-23 until the next scheduled board meeting?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to table. Roll call.
Carroll.
Yes.
Blair.
Yes.
Burns.
Yes?
Wiles.
Yes.
Hunt.
Yes.
Rissler.
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Thank you. Next is ordinance 25-26, first reading, amending section 102-21 of the City Municipal Code, rezoning from R2 to G1, or GI, I'm sorry, the 900 block of Cheri Whitlock Drive. Ben?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the board, Ben Rhodes, Senior Planner. So you're looking at different rezoning. This is at the 900 block of Cheri Whitlock Drive, as the mayor stated. That's the corner of Cheri Whitlock and Heiko Street there, as you can see on the map. Proposals is to GI, the institutional zone. The applicant is wanting to rezone this non-platted lot. It is 2.16 acres, and it's currently zoned R2 residential. Applicant is desiring this for a future medical clinic because future land use map, which I'll get in a minute, but there's no land use map amendment needed for this one. It is related to a different request that will be reviewed this evening on the agenda, Resolution 32-25 for Simmons Clinic. So as I mentioned, the future land use map, you see that shows here primary local commercial. We have that as it's shown as the appropriate uses there on the right. So the school, civic, or recreational use is very appropriate. We throw medical clinics and hospitals, things like that, into that category. However, if we did want to call it an office, which would be fair, we could call it that as well, as like a dentist's office or a medical office. That is also shown as appropriate as well. As both of those are shown outlined in the red there. As I stated, the proposed GI zone does align with the designations under either of those uses. Here we see the site. The rezoning is needed, as I mentioned, for the clinic based off of the type of use that they're proposing. It is vacant. Neighborhood primarily functions as commercial and institutional corridor, particularly as you go to the east. You have the fire station, you have some churches and things like that. So institutional uses are are kind of common in this area, as well as some commercial. Just right to the south, catty corner, is the Dollar General. And so we see that as an emerging land use in this particular area. Staff finds that this meets the minimum requirements of the GI zone and meets with the guidance of the future land use map, and Planning Commission is recommending approval. We're available for any of your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Directors, comments or questions? There is not. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address ordinance 25-26?
Madam Mayor, I did
Yes.
have one question for
Okay, let me come
Ben,
back to you
and
in just
you
a
may have
minute.
said this, we're only addressing that corner.
Yes, just the corner. Yeah.
Anyone? If not, directors, any more comments or questions? Not, do I have a motion to place ordinance 25-26 on its first reading, suspending the rules, reading by title only?
So moved.
Second?
Have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Blair.
Yes.
Burns.
Yes.
Wiles.
Yes.
Hunt.
Yes.
Rissler.
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Carroll.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Christina?
Ordinance number 25-26, an ordinance amending section 102-21 of the Siloam Springs Municipal Code, City Zoning Map, rezoning from R2 to GI property located at the 900 block of Cheri Whitlock Drive.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, ordinance 25-27, first reading, amending section 102-21 of the City Municipal Code, rezoning from R2 to C2, 1200 block of East Lake Francis Drive. Megan?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Megan Thomas, current planner. This is a rezoning request located at the 1200 block of East Lake Francis Drive. The applicant is requesting to rezone 7.37 acres from R2 residential medium to C2 roadway commercial to allow for the construction of a church on the property. The applicant is also requesting to amend the future land use designation for the property from neighborhoods 1 to local commercial to allow for large offices and shops. This is the future land use map for the property. The future land use map currently designates this area as neighborhoods 1. The proposed C2 zoning district does not align with this designation as it allows for large offices and shops in which the 2040 comprehensive plan describes as not appropriate for the area. Therefore, the applicant has submitted a request to amend the land use designation for the property from neighborhoods 1 to local commercial. It should be noted the local commercial land use designation does currently exist within the neighborhood to the east along South Point, as you can see from this area. So that's the orange area over here, so it's directly to the east. The site is currently vacant. The surrounding area consists of established industrial, commercial, and institutional uses, which are generally equal or more intensive than the proposed zoning district, with the exception of the residential uses located to the northwest, that's this property, and the residential uses located to the northeast, that's this property over here. However, the northeast property is currently zoned for commercial. It is zoned C2 and is considered a legal non-conforming residential use on that property. And the applicant will be required to provide opaque screening for the residential property to the northwest that abuts the rail line. Staff and Planning Commission find that the rezoning meets the minimum lot requirements of C2 zoning and is consistent with the commercial and institutional neighborhood context and character. Additionally, the proposal does not align with the future land use designation for the property as previously stated. Therefore, a future land use map amendment is needed. Staff has not received any calls or correspondence on this request, and staff is available for any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Megan. Directors, comments or questions? Yes, Betsy.
If it's for a future church, why isn't it GI?
That would be more of a question for the applicant. They submitted the C2, but I believe the reason that they submitted the C2 is that it allows a little higher of a lot coverage than what the GI would allow. But again, that's more of a question for the applicant.
Directors, anyone else? Yes.
Is there
Lisa.
anybody here for the applicant?
We'll find out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, David.
as staff dealing with the applications, are we not usually saying, this is, since you're a church, this is what you will be? Or since you're, what is it, not industrial, what the hospital is? I mean, you don't want the hospital going commercial. So I'm just saying, would we not just tell them, this is what you have to be, instead of giving them the election?
Megan?
Yes, so we actually did have that conversation with them whenever they first submitted. We cannot tell them what they can and cannot request if they put in that application despite the conversations. That's up to the applicant. However, I will note to the southeast of the property is an existing church that is also Zone C2.
Thank you, Megan. Any other questions, directors? If not, is there anyone in the audience that would like to address this ordinance 25-27? And if there is a representative from the applicant, if you will please come up. And I'm assuming that's you, Ron.
Good afternoon. Civil engineer, Ron Holmeyer, Civil Engineering, 701 South Madeline Street. The churches are allowed by right in C2 zoning as well as GI. Just for clarification, there are advantages to C2 over the GI, specifically the one she mentioned of additional lot coverage is permitted, and also the fact that the Trinity Pentecostal Church is currently zoned C2, and therefore we're more or less conforming to the neighboring community, more so than the GI. The city's property across the street obviously is probably institutional. I'm assuming the 20 acres they have, but no, I mean, it just felt like a better fit to go with the C2 versus the GI. And to your question, Dave, the staff was very adamant in their recommendation of the GI, and the applicant chose to go with the C2. So if there aren't any other questions, thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Directors, any other questions?
Madam Mayor,
Yes. Ron.
as much as I know this town needs another church, my concern with C2 is that when I see a name on here, that I remember a project on Mount Olive that was zoned for one thing, and then shortly after they filed for a hardship, and it changed from an office to back to a residential. And that's digging through some cobwebs inside of my mind. So what's the reassurance that we do this and, you know, we're having all these concerns up here and then they go, you know, we're just gonna develop C2. Sorry, Ron, I didn't catch you while you're standing up, but.
That's okay. Ron Holmeyer, Civil Engineering. I don't think that's going to happen, but should it happen, you have to also consider that it's directly adjacent to railroad tracks and due south of industrial zone property. So from a theoretical planning standpoint, which I'm not a planner, you would think that transitioning from industrial to commercial to residential would be an appropriate process. And I'll let them fill in on that if they prefer.
I would argue that I think this land is going to be valuable because I do believe, I don't know if this term on my board, I hope so, Director Blair had mentioned it before. I'd mentioned it years in the past about a quiet zone. The loudest noise ordinance we have in the city is the railroad track. We are a railroad town now, by the way. It's picked up. Canada runs through our town on a daily basis, get over it. But it is, and I'm a light sleeper, so it is that. So when that quiet zone goes in, once we improve that, I believe that's the last crossing on Lake Francis, once that's improved, I believe we're gonna head in that direction and all that property has a much greater potential. I'm not doubting that, I'm just making us aware of that's what's going to happen. And so within that, you know, if they don't break ground, we rezone it and it develops. And I've watched folks here, local folks, come back in and rezone, so heads up.
I just wanted to pull that over.
Thank you, Brad.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, David.
do you want to elaborate on the quiet zone? What is the plan here? You're saying this is going to happen?
Oh, I believe it'll happen. It may not in our lifetime. But I felt like it was gonna be my last lifetime on the board. It failed. But what it requires is once we improve all the railroad crossings, there's no need for the siren. So they don't have to blare it. So everybody in Country Acres can sleep. And the train travels through town. If you live next to it, it's like white noise. But at 1:30, 2:30, and 4:30, sometimes 4 o'clock, for those of us that sleep like that, they're cranking that and they crank it down. And so
I thought you were referring to something that was about to be brought before us pretty soon, so I didn't know if there was some plan like in the works for.
I hope so. I hope in board goals.
Okay, that was my question.
I'm praying.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Nancy.
I have had citizens come to me about the quiet zones, and I've met with previous administrators regarding that. So I would imagine it might possibly be in our lifetime. So especially in the middle of town, a lot of people would really like for that to happen.
Thank you, Betsy. Any comment from staff? No. All right, directors, any other comments or questions?
Madam Mayor,
Yes, David.
I don't think this church is going to be making too much noise. Violate the quiet zone.
Folks, right? All right, so do I have a motion to place ordinance 25-27 on its first reading, suspending the rules, reading by title only?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Burns,
Yes.
Wiles,
Yes.
Hunt,
Yes.
Rissler,
Yes.
Allen, Carroll,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Motion is approved. Christina?
Ordinance number 25-27, an ordinance amending section 102-21 of the Siloam Springs Municipal Code, City Zoning Map, rezoning from R2 to C2, property located at the 1200 block of East Lake Francis Drive.
Thank you, ma'am. The next resolution is 28-25. It was tabled from our 7:15 meeting. This is a final plat development permit for Lawlis Ranch, Phase 3 addition, 23006 Lawlis Road. Ben?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Ben Rhodes, Senior Planner. Yes, as the mayor stated, this is a final plat, that 23006 Lawlis Road. This is the final phase of the Lawlis development, and it's zone PD. That rezoning to PD did come along with the same time as the preliminary plat approval, if the board might recall. I know that the staff report was referring back to previous zoning. That was because when it was written, that zoning hadn't gone through yet. Yes, and as I stated, this is to finish out the Lawlis Ranch addition. And this is just a reminder of that preliminary plat. This was the one that had the single family attached, that had the property lines that went through the middle of the buildings, if you guys remember that. Resembling duplexes, but not actually functioning as a duplex because each unit will be on its own lot. This is 16.4 acres. It will yield 86 dwelling units. It does match with the PD zone. Staff findings, we do find that the plat as presented meets the minimum requirements, subject to the following conditions. These are standard, but filing the plat within 45 days and also submitting a 2-year maintenance bond prior to release of the performance bond. And with that, we are available for any of your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Directors, comments or questions?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, David.
The continued building along this area just continues to provide drainage problems for all the residents that have been there for many, many years. And I just can't support continued building. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Brad?
I did have a question for Mr. Holmeyer whenever that's appropriate, and I think it was regarding why we tabled it last time on that drainage. I'll wait, but.
We will get him to the podium again. Anyone else?
Madam Mayor, and that's my concern too, is the drainage and how it will affect those around it who are already there.
Madam Mayor.
Yes, Chris.
Chris Paxton, Director of Administrative Service. I believe this item was tabled based off of public notice requirements. Just a matter of fact.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Brad.
He's correct. I guess that was a discussion we had, and we talked about box culverts and all sorts of things, but I'm sure Ron has an answer.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? If then, I will go back to the audience and ask if there's anyone that would like to come to the podium and address this resolution. Mr. Holmeyer, if you would be so kind.
Ron Holmeyer, Civil Engineering, 701 South Mount Olive. Box culverts and everything were a different project. That was Oak Brook,
Oh, sorry.
Phase 2.
I guess we're completely off.
That's okay. And yes, I sent the legal notice to the newspaper via email. They say they never received it. I hadn't had this problem before, so I didn't follow up to make sure they actually received it. And so that's the reason we didn't get to be on the last meeting. We had a breakdown on communication there. The drainage on this one, I mean, the improvements were made with phases 1 and 2. Phase 1 had detention basin northwest corner, where it discharges. And phase 1 had a storied history in that it started in 2006, I believe it was, and then it didn't get finished until like 2020 or somewhere in there. And then phase 2 was finished a couple of years ago. And that had a detention basin and ditch improvements that were included down there in the southeast corner behind two homes, I believe it is. You know, we've had pretty much nonstop complaints about drainage from the people to the north. I think we helped the situation significantly on the people in the southeast corner. I haven't gotten any updates, and I don't think we've had any major storms that would have created that, but I know that Mr. Pardiero to the east there was no longer concerned about drainage after he saw the finished product. So I'm not sure what else I need to address on drainage on this project, so. Thank you.
Anyone have any questions for Ron while he's up here?
Just, Madam
Yeah,
Mayor,
Nancy?
just a clarification. You said something about drainage being worse to the north. Do you mean it was worse before it started, did I hear that correctly?
There have been a lot of complaints. Now, the project stalled and was basically bankrupt, and bank got the property back. The detention was never completed, so the erosion control was not maintained, and so there was a lot of sediment, you know, obviously gravel, dirt, a lot of that stuff was washing onto the neighbor's property, and there was, I guess, no one that stepped up and got that taken care of at the time. But once the project was finished, the basin was completed, and it's functioning as it was designed. So, but I don't know that the neighbors ever felt like it was working like it should. But it was designed according to the city's rules and regulations and built that way, and so I know it's functioning like it's supposed to at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to address Resolution 28-25? If not, directors, do I have a motion to approve Resolution 28-25 for the final plat development on Lawlis Ranch, Phase 3?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Wiles.
Yes.
Hunt.
Yes.
Rissler.
Yes.
Allen.
No.
Carroll.
Yes.
Blair.
Yes.
Burns.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Thank you. Next, we will move to Resolution 32-25, Significant Development Permit, 900 block of Cheri Whitlock Drive, Simmons Health Clinic and Benefits Center. And this is part of what we were discussing in Ordinance 25-26. Is that correct, Ben?
That is correct, Madam Mayor. Thank you. Ben Rhodes, Senior Planner. So yes, we're back at the same site that we just looked at for the rezoning, but this is now the significant development permit. So you guys are familiar with where this is. This is to construct a 10,000 square foot private medical clinic. And here you see the clinic on the left and an image of what that would look like at the bottom. Is for Simmons food employees. As I said earlier, the site is undeveloped, but it will include 47 parking spaces. There will be on-site detention along the front of the facility. Project does meet all city regulations and landscaping requirements. There's sidewalk that exists along the frontage, but a new one will be added along Hyco Street. It's on the west side of Hyco. Staff findings, proposal does comply with city code and the proposed GI with the condition, of course, that the property be rezoned fully to GI before this can be executed as a resolution. Planning Commission has reviewed this and they are recommending approval with the stated condition. And we're available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Directors?
Madam Mayor,
Yes, sir. David?
I just want to state that this is a really nice facility that Simmons is building for their employees. It's very important to their company, and I'm really glad to see them doing this. And I believe hearing the eggplant say that they will be the preferred provider, or preferred employer, I think Simmons might argue. They do an awful lot of benefits and good pay for their employees, and I appreciate them a lot.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Madam Mayor?
Yes,
I have
Brad?
a quick question for Ben. Hey, on the Hyco side, on their sidewalk, As I'm looking at it, I dug through and what's the width on that sidewalk? Do you know?
Not offhand, but it would meet our minimum requirements. I believe it'd be at least 5 feet. But do you happen to know, Joe? 8 feet. So we have an engineer here for us.
Thanks, AJ. Well, the deal was, at one point, we looked at part of the Butterfield Trail, if we recall back, and about a connectivity plan. So if you go to the south, we kind of hung up the greenway, or let's just call it a side path. And I was just curious if that's an opportunity to, you know, extend that out. I know that's something that Simmons would be interested in, but we had a plan. I don't have it off the top of my head, and we have time, obviously, to dig around. I'll try to find that. But
Does the Butterfield Trail pick up at the north end of Pika?
Yeah, we at one point were designating that for grant opportunities.
Yeah.
And taking that connectivity piece eventually all the way to Gentry was the big vision plan. But I just thrown it out there, and if you find it before me, congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. Anyone else?
Madam Mayor?
Yes,
I
Reed.
just want to say thank you to Simmons for making the entrance and exits all on Hyco and nothing on Cheri Whitlock. I think that's a good thing to do.
Thank you. Anyone else? If not, is there anyone in the audience who would like to address Resolution 32-25? There is not. Directors, do I have a motion to approve Resolution 32-25 for the significant development permit, the 900 block of Cheri Whitlock?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Roll call. Oh, and this is with the listed conditions, so we need to make that a part of our motion. Okay.
Hunt,
Yes.
Rissler,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Wiles.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Next is Resolution 33-25, Special Use Development Permit, 1401 East Emelyn Lane. Megan?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Megan Thomas, current planner. This is a special use request for 1401 East Emelyn Street. The applicant is requesting to allow use unit 13 utilities within a C2 roadway commercial zoning district. On the screen is a site view of the property. The special use request was triggered by the applicant's desire to obtain a building permit. The proposed fiber hut facility is not expected to generate significant traffic, as it is not intended for daily employee use and does not serve customers on site. The proposed use is compatible with the surrounding mixed-use area, which includes low-traffic commercial establishments, churches, and some residential properties. With that said, staff and planning commission find that the special use request as presented meets the minimum city requirements and is consistent with the surrounding commercial and institutional uses within the neighborhood, and staff has not received any calls or correspondence on this request, and staff is available for any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Megan. Directors, comments or questions?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, David?
Megan, I've got a question you may be able to answer, or someone in planning. This has to do with American Electric Power, and I'm curious because their letter talks as if they require this for what they are doing with infrastructure. And I'm curious, what are they doing with infrastructure, AEP, what are they doing with infrastructure on within the city, and does the city know about it? I know it's a fiber hut facility, but it's a question of what is it that they are planning to do?
Megan, you have the
So,
answer?
I'll deflect to the applicant on that.
Okay. So, yes, sir, if you'll come to the podium and give us your name and address, please, sir.
Of course. My name's Juan Ludwig, and I'm with CDS Murray Services. I'm one of the engineers there. We are located at 100 Northeast Loop 410, San Antonio, Texas. Basically, AP has several electrical substations. As a matter of fact, there's one approximately 3/4 of a mile to the south. These fiber huts are typically essential infrastructure in order to maintain the reliability and communications between the different stations that we have in the area. So basically what we've got is we've got a fiber hut, which is basically an enclosure that contains telecommunication infrastructure that allows communication, and anytime there's some type of concern or issue, that piece of infrastructure is utilized in order to make sure that we're able to monitor everything efficiently and effectively. And as a matter of fact, one of the items that we do have to present, if interested, are actual renderings of what the facility is going to look like. The enclosure itself is approximately 34 by 12 foot, and it's going to be enclosed in a wooden fence or an opaque structure. So it's really not going to be visible. We are going to incorporate landscaping features. And like I said, I think AEP went ahead and provided some renderings just in case the board and mayor are interested in looking at what the development will look like after construction.
Okay, thank you, sir. David, does that answer your question?
Well, yeah, but the gentleman brought up, you have a substation not far. What does your substation do? Because the city has a substation not far, right?
Sure. Greg, does AEP service the Siloam Springs?
Sir, I'm sorry, if you could come to the podium because this is being recorded, so.
Of course.
And give us your name.
Good evening. Greg Lavelle, Project Manager, American Electric Power, Tulsa, Oklahoma. So the Southwestern, SWEPCO is a transmission and distribution company that services electrical services in and around the Siloam Springs area. Although we do not directly service distribution to Siloam Springs, we do service transmission to the distribution that services Siloam Springs. So the substation that we have that is just 3/4 of a mile south of the proposed location is a transmission station that supplies distribution services to your distribution substations in the local area, which then moves to the neighborhoods and local businesses.
Because I know we get ours through GRDA, and so I thought the substation that's on the south end of our city limits was a city substation, correct?
I'm not familiar with the GRDA's grid, sir.
But you have a substation?
But our facility is located south.
Yes, sir, just 3/4 of a mile south on Lincoln, I believe the road is. We do have a substation on the east side, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
And just for reference, typically what we like to do is we'd like to install the infrastructures within the substation facility or parcel area. In this particular case, that particular parcel was just not large enough for us to install what we needed to, and that's why we chose this location.
Thank you,
Thank
appreciate
you.
that.
I would like, Madam
David?
Mayor, I would like to hear from Phil at some point. I have thought the substation across from Country Acres was part of the city of Siloam Springs, but maybe I've been wrong.
I don't believe it is. I think that there is a sign on it that,
Okay. It looks so much like our other substation, so I thought it was. So I'm a little surprised knowing there's another electric company that has a substation that I had no clue that we allowed that. Thank you.
yes. Anyone else?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Reed.
I wouldn't mind seeing some of the documents that they brought.
That shows the rendering for how
Yeah,
it's going to
yeah.
look. If you could give those to our city clerk, sir. She is right here. Sorry, she's right here. And then she will get those to the board.
When I had seen Fiber Hut, I couldn't help but wonder, the last hut I remember, of course, was Pizza Hut when I was in high school, so I just thought, what is Fiber Hut? But I appreciate the explanation. Thank you.
Y'all have one, Megan? Okay. So let's do one.
Madam Mayor?
Yes,
Can I
Brad?
ask a question of them, please?
Yes.
So as I'm looking at this, and this residential will build, does it make any noise?
No, sir. It's going to be an enclosure.
I'm going to ask something else that might blow your mind a little bit.
Sure.
Because when we looked at doing Wi-Fi in our city, we had folks up here wanting to wear tinfoil hats because of the off-gassing. So I'm going to ask that question. Does it off-gas any subparticles that we aren't aware of that might be worthy of conspiracy?
Not that we're aware of.
Okay. It's legit. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I will say the renderings, for such a small little facility, you've certainly done some nice landscaping. Yeah.
Yes. And for clarification, this is non-habitable area, so we've got probably someone that's going to maintain and visit the area probably on a monthly basis, once a month, so traffic is not going to be an issue.
Very
We
good.
appreciate you all being here. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions, directors? If not, is there anyone in the audience that would like to address Resolution 33-25? There is not. Directors, do I have a motion to approve Resolution 33-25?
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Chrysler?
Yes.
Allen?
Yes.
Carroll?
Yes.
Blair?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Wiles?
Yes.
Hunt?
Yes.
Resolution 33-25 is approved. Thank you all very much, and thank you, gentlemen, for being here. Thank you, Ron. So with that, we will move to our administrator's report. Christina?
Expenditures in excess of $30,000 include $30,097.90 for Parks and Rec to natural state tree houses. That's related to the grant for the gazebo remodel. There was also a purchase of $36,640 for water wastewater services to Jack Tyler Engineering for lift station pump replacements. There were no purchases per Resolution 11-25. Parks and PD are putting on an Aloha Summer Luau with a dive-in movie showing of Moana 2. That's this Friday at the Family Aquatic Center, and gates open at 7 p.m. and admission is free. A special thank you to Audio Girl Ministries for donating new banners to the Siloam Springs Fire Department in support of the Safe Haven Baby Box located at Fire Station 1. These banners will be displayed at both Fire Stations 1 and 2 to help raise awareness about this life-saving resource. Tuesday, August 12th, is the first day of school. We wish everyone in the district a great start to the new school year. I would also like to welcome Josh Napier, who has recently stepped into the role of Public Works Director. Josh has served as our water treatment plant superintendent for the past 8 years, and we're excited to see him take on this new leadership role. There is also a new city engineer with over 20 years of experience that has accepted a position with the city beginning September 15th. We're excited. And lastly, I wanted to let everyone know that the RAISE grant is moving forward for the bridge and the remodel on Main Street. There was a change in the structure of the acceptance letter, and that's because of the change of administration. But the grant is still in play and will be moving forward. Crafton Toll will assist us with upgrading the acceptance letter, and staff will bring that to the board when it's been approved by the U.S. Department of Transportation. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much. So with that, we will move into our director's reports. I just real quickly want to say welcome to our new engineer, and thank you, Chris, for assisting in that. And also, congratulations to Josh. He has served this city well and has worked very hard to prove himself and to advance himself in his position. So congratulations to him on that. So with that, we will move to the directors. Brad, we're going to start with you tonight and move around. And Reed, you will close us out, please, sir.
Fantastic. I'm going to simply request a workshop. I have several concerns about the budget that is coming up. And then I'd like to also, once again, look at goal setting and here are some considerations I have. I know we're making some progress with Sager Creek, but I'd like to continue discussion with that. Based on our joint workshop, at some point in '26, as a goal, I'd like to look at Act 595. So we need discussion on that. I'm also, in 2026, I'm going to get a little progressive and radical on some of you, but I agree with Director Allen. I'm concerned about our growth, and I'm not a fan of this urban sprawl. And so with new legislation being passed, I think it's time for us to start looking at R1 plan development, infill development, and looking at C2 projects going vertical to reduce our urban sprawl, and to just keep in mind that some of these developments are not local, they are large commercial. They did meet a need. We just approved one tonight, but I think we need to be more forward-looking. Our planning area is gone, and along those lines, I would just encourage those of you that can attend the Groundworks Northwest Arkansas, their Zoom meeting. If you're unable to attend it, just they're online, review some of that. It's great information for us to process. Additional to that, in 2026, I think we need to address some of our watershed concerns and look at cities in the areas that have looked at watershed as a utility. And I think that would be wise of us moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. I'm assuming, Christina, you took note of those things he was mentioning.
thank you.
So, David?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I first wanted to acknowledge what Christina sent us, that the city won the Arkansas Recycling Coalition's Government Recycler of the Year award. And we needed to acknowledge Jason and his recycling team for all that they do on that. I also wanted to give a big thank you to Sylvia and Lori with the Audio Girl Ministries for them taking the lead on bringing something very important to our city, the baby box that has been installed at our fire department a few years ago, and now bringing the banners to make sure people are aware of the baby box. So they have done such a great job of providing this service, and we appreciate that they broke ground on something that many of us had never heard of, and we appreciate their efforts. I also want to congratulate Josh Napier on his promotion to the Public Works Director. I think he's very qualified and believe he will do a really good job. Glad to hear we have a new city engineer coming. I appreciate that, Christina. And then the question I had on your administrator report, Christina, you said this 30,000 was for the gazebo remodel. That has been already, I mean, the remodel design has been decided, right? It's all, didn't we approve it? I thought.
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to confirm. And then, good report, Brad, good director report on the infill. I think so many people still don't quite ever understand that term, and so I think in the future, maybe educating the public on what infill means. It's something that you've used a lot. I know it means something to you in terms of the definition, but not everybody knows what infill means. And so it's something, whether at the workshop or another board meeting, that maybe it be explained a little better. And yes, we get the emails on Groundworks, and I read them all, and I encourage people to read them as well. So thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, David. Mindy?
Okay, just a couple of notes here. Thank you, Christina, for following up on the raise grant and giving us that report tonight. I'm about getting that going and improving the bridge and the Main Street area. I want to thank also Parks and Recreation. I already thanked Travis earlier. The flowers are looking so good in town. And he said it's because we're watering every day, and that's the only way they can stay alive. But it just really adds a lot to our downtown area, the front of the City Hall building, and just all the parks areas just look really nice. So I appreciate the work that they're doing on that. With school starting here pretty soon, we just need to watch out for the kiddos. It seems like it starts earlier and earlier every year, August 12th, wow. And then JBU starts a couple weeks later on August 25th, so we'll have all the college kids back in within the next couple of weeks as well.
Thank you, Mindy. Ken?
A couple of things. I was just going to tag on to what David said about the recycling award. That just goes to show how hard and dedicated the staff is, and if it's not one department, it's another. They just go above and beyond all the time, and I just appreciate that and want to thank them for their efforts. Brad, you scared me for a minute by talking about being more radical than normal, but what you said makes perfectly good sense, and I'm with you on that, so let's move forward. Then you can save your scare tactics for another time. That's all I have.
Thank you, Ken. Betsy?
Hello. I want to say congratulations to Josh Napier. That's wonderful, and I'm thrilled we have someone in the Public Works Director position. That's fantastic, and I'm very excited about the new engineer starting, and I hope he's good with drainage. My understanding is he's worked in the private sector as well as in the municipality, and so he sounds like he comes to us with a great deal of knowledge and experience. So I never thought I'd be so excited about an engineer, but I am. So thank you.
Thank you, Betsy. Lisa?
I want to say thank you to the Audio Girl Ministries for the banner. So my daughter and I went to the kind of where they gave it to the fire department, and it stands out. So when you drive by, it's bright red, and you will see it, because now it's just a little sign. But now we'll have a big sign that they can know that it's there. And hopefully, people around the community have given to audio, to their ministry, to Audio Girl Ministries, and that's how they buy the banners. And so hopefully we'll see more banners around the community. Congratulations, Josh. I'm happy for you to get the position. Thank you for all the hard work you've done for our city, and we appreciate that you're stepping into the new role. And congratulations to Jason Davis. It's huge, because we would have never been recognized before the direction we were going. He has really taken that department, our recycling, and taken it in a whole new direction. And so kudos to Jason and the hard work he's put into that. And so congratulations on that. And that's it.
Thank you, Lisa. Reed?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm excited to see the school year begin, and the transition of that sometimes can be a little bit rugged. Sometimes they're not ready to get up that early, but it's good to see that. And we as a nation can be excited about seeing our young people learn and grow, that next generation ready to take over for us. Thank you, Christina, for the update on the raised grant. I know it's not going to happen tomorrow, but it is going in a forward direction, and that's good to see, and I'm very glad for that. I also would like to see if we could have a goals workshop at some point, sooner than later, but I also know budget is coming as well, so I'll be patient on that. And with that, Madam Mayor, I make a motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you.